All right, this is something. And we're going to have a lot of talk this week because now we're moving into late first week of March, free agency in a couple of weeks. According to Greg Bedard, he's a real reporter, a journalist. He said on his podcast, Jimmy Garoppolo, by far and away, represents New England's plan A at quarterback. So officially, New England has a plan. Now, their plan is a quarterback on another team that's not a free agent, so this is essentially tampering. This reminds me of the Knicks' many attempts to get KD, Kyrie, and LeBron. But Greg Bedard's a legitimate reporter, and when you got Marcus Mariota, Cam Newton, who was and a fifth best quarterback in the draft, Jimmy Garoppolo feels pretty good. And I also think, we know the book on Garoppolo. He was supposed to start 4 straight games in New England when Brady had Deflategate. He was hurt by the second game. That's kind of his history. He's also been hurt in week 2, twice with the Niners and once in week 3. But this makes sense. The reason it makes sense, because I counted this morning, 4 rumors that San Francisco's not in love with Garoppolo. 4 different stories have made Twitter with legitimate reporters. What's the rule on this show? Stuff gets out when somebody wants it out. So San Francisco's telling everybody, we're moving off Jimmy G. And the second thing is, New England's fairly desperate. Their plan A, according to Bedard, is a guy in another team that's not a free agent. So I think, and here's the interesting thing, and this is what I think really makes the NFL the best sport in the country. Even though you can seem hopeless, you're never really that far away. And I'll give you an example of New England. Now, we know they cannot draft wide receivers. They can't. They just can't do it. Belichick's hole in his game. Every great coach has a hole. That's his. That is his. And we also know they don't have a functional tight end since Gronk left. And we also know Cam struggled to basically throw the ball past 10 yards down the field and complete it. But you could make 3 moves, all completely, utterly doable. And New England would absolutely be a playoff team. Let's start with Garoppolo. If Garoppolo, behind a very good New England offensive line, stays upright for 14 to 16 games, they have a ton of cap space. You go get wide receiver Allen Robinson from Chicago, a tremendous player. And then you move up in the draft from the 15th spot. Let's say you got to get to 8. You don't have to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you can get to 7 and 8 and you draft the tight end Kyle Pitts, tomorrow I would say New England's a playoff team. And this is the essence of the NFL. New England last year, we're watching them, and it's like, God, Brady's winning Super Bowls. This is kind of pathetic. They get all those guys that opted out back in. Mike Lombardi, former guy in the building with New England, said in a podcast yesterday, this is really doable. John Lynch, the Niners GM, likes Sam Darnold a lot. You can get him for a second pick. He's more athletic with better raw tools than Jimmy Garoppolo and doesn't have his injury history. Now we get a story that New England is absolutely plan A, far and away from Greg Bedard. Jimmy Garoppolo is their guy. So I buy this reporter. I buy this story. I think it makes New England, if they can go get a free agent receiver and move up slightly to get that great tight end in the draft, they're a playoff team. I mean, they're not going to win Super Bowls, but they're a playoff team. And that is not as embarrassing for Belichick. You make the playoffs. Belichick in a playoff game always has a chance to out-coach somebody and win it. You're not going to win 3 or 4 playoff games. They don't have the personnel. So this feels like a real story. I would not be shocked. Sam Darnold has a real market. Washington does not have a quarterback. Chicago, according to a story this morning, wants Russell Wilson. I don't know how they get him. They just don't have the quarterback, the pieces. Virtually impossible. I think it'd be a great fit. I don't know how they get him. And San Francisco now, according to Bedard, Mike Lombardi, Darnold, Garoppolo moves east. Darnold moves west where Lynch likes him. We got real stories. So I'm a fan of going for it. Be aggressive. If you hear no, figure out a way to find yes. John McClain, big reporter in Houston, said, here's an idea with Deshaun Watson. And last week, John McClain, the leading voice in Houston, said, it's time to move him. He's not coming back. Let's figure out something that works. And his idea is trade Deshaun Watson from Houston to Arizona for Kyler Murray, who is a legend in the state of Texas. Okay, if I'm Houston, that's a great idea. If I'm Arizona, I'm going to pass. And I know most of you think I'm nuts. 4 things to consider. Kyler Murray, still on that rookie contract. Cost me nothing. Number 2 is he has no injury history, and he's a former baseball player. So like Russell Wilson, he's a great slider. He rarely gets hit. Number 3, sorry, but he throws a much better pure ball than Deshaun Watson. And number 4 is he's ascending. I don't even know what his ceiling is. He hasn't played that much football. Listen, Deshaun Watson's a stud, but he's getting kind of thrown into this Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady class. Folks, Deshaun Watson went 4-12 last year. Russell Wilson's never had a losing season in the NFL. We're starting to lump him into, like, he's got 1 playoff win. And I like Deshaun Watson. I like him a lot. But Kyler Murray, we don't even know his ceiling yet. Won twice as many games last year in a significantly tougher division. The best division in football. With some of the better defensive minds. Robert Saleh was a defensive coordinator, now a head coach. Pete Carroll. So Deshaun Watson's last playoff game, he was outscored at one point 51-7. His last 9 possessions, he got points on 1 of them. I like him. In fact, I really like him. He doesn't throw the ball like Mahomes. He doesn't win like Brady. He doesn't completely control a franchise like Russell Wilson. I don't think he's just a naturally gifted thrower like Aaron Rodgers. He's great. But I don't even know what Kyler Murray is yet. All I know, and I don't even know if Kyler Murray has a legitimate NFL head coach yet. I don't know if he does. He absolutely has the 4th best coach in his own division, and he went from 5 wins to 8-8 with an average O-line, probably the 4th best coach in his division, and Arizona's not totally rebuilding, but there's a reason they went and got J.J. Watt. There's a reason they went and got a year ago DeAndre Hopkins. So I would not trade Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson. When I got a kid that good and I still don't know if I'm at the ceiling, former baseball player, slides well, never gets hit, absolutely throws a better pure football than Deshaun. I've said this. Kyler throws about as good a football as the league has. Aaron Rodgers won. No one did about 6 guys. Stafford's in that class. They throw a beautiful ball. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.